Now, I don't know how I'm going to follow up the nut bush, but thanks for the introduction. This is something I'm really passionate about. I think this is, we should be doing this every day, but I think for marketers, it's really easy to get caught up in the weeds and just keep on doing what we're doing and just moving on to the next one. So it's something that I always try and be passionate about and look to implement that into our teams as always part of our marketing strategy overall. So before we get on to the juicy stuff, I'll give you a little introduction about me. So I've been a marketer for 10 years, as you've already heard, and I'm sure as everyone in the room here can attest to, you've probably worn a million hats all at the same time. I've been in kind of one-person marketing roles where you're a graphic designer, a social media manager, a brand manager, a website developer all in one, getting paid 45K, as well as in highly specialized roles in big marketing teams as well. So I actually started as a bridal magazine journalist. I fucking hated it. I actually did a media degree, didn't really help me too much, but really wanted to do sports journalism, realized if you weren't an AFL footballer, you weren't going to get a job here in Adelaide. Got this gig, really thankful for it though, because it also gave me the opportunity to look into the back end of the business of this bridal magazine, and looked after their social media, their websites, bit of advertising and sales as well. And it opened my eyes up to the world of marketing. And that mixed with watching Mad Men and all the good parts of Don Draper, we won't worry about the bad stuff, but I decided to go into marketing and have had a career with a few really great businesses here in Adelaide, People's Choice Credit Union, the Adelaide Crows, and now Journey Beyond. And personally, I've just become a dad over the past year. I am so sleep deprived. My kid does not sleep at all. So apologies in advance if I just start mumbling. But I know that I'm the last speaker before drinks. So hopefully we can make this pretty conversational and get you to the drinks. So about Journey Beyond, I think we've already heard what the hell or who the hell is Journey Beyond. Whenever I explain where I work, I always have to follow up with, oh, you know the GAN. But it's so much more than that. So for us, we own 13 different brands across Australia. And we've also gone global now with looking after selling a river cruising company in America called American Queen Voyages, which goes down the Mississippi River. But on a whole, we manage 13 different brands. So the trains, the GAN, the Indian Pacific, Great Southern, and the Overland. We own Rottnest Express in Perth, going to Roto, bit of a competitor from our last speaker. Cruise Whit Sundays up in the Whit Sundays, very jealous of working with them, and they're always in t-shirts on video calls. Darwin Harbour Cruises, South Silas, which is a glamping experience up in Ningaloo Reef. Melbourne Skydeck, a viewing platform in Melbourne, Cruise Sydney, a dinner cruise on Sydney Harbour, Horizontal Falls up in Broome, and Outback Spirit, so a small touring company, small group touring company that looks at trips in Arnhem Land and the Kimberley. So literally every corner of Australia we have an experience, so it's a very diverse role. In my team, in our digital marketing team, we manage the websites, the digital advertising, our MarTech stack, so our Salesforce stack with direct comms and organic social as well across the group. So never a dull moment. We get a lot of opportunity to test and learn across the group. And we have so many different audiences and so many different assets that we really get to play in a whole space and really talk to the whole of Australia. But back to why I'm here. Test and learn. But for me, it's really about innovation. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to suck eggs, but like I said before, sometimes we just get so caught up in the day-to-day activity as marketers. And I'm sure if we've got some agency people here too, it just gets so boring when you get another brief that's hitting, 18 to 45s or whatever. And it's just same. So Ideally, when we plan our marketing plans and our marketing budgets for the year ahead, I always beg for a little slice of a test and learn budget that we kind of have free rein for. Sometimes it doesn't always work, or it always gets cut, but probably this is about this time of year, actually, to be fair. But it's always kind of part of our strategy holistically as a group. So here's a couple of kind of key call-outs that I've stolen from other presentations over the years that have really stuck with me, and hopefully that you guys find them pretty interesting and can take this back to your teams as well. So the first one, innovation is not the same as invention. We don't have to create new shit all the time to be innovative. Innovation can be incremental. So it's about the small wins. It's about the 1%ers, to put a football term in. And being first is not always best. This one's come up pretty recently for us. When Threads came out, I had literally everyone in my business say, are we going to get on Threads? What's our strategy? What are we going to do? But from a tourism aspect, our business is so visual, our product is so visual. So how do we do that in a very text-heavy social space? We're not sure, to be perfectly honest. So we're just going to see what happens. We're going to see what else people are doing in that space, and we're going to see if that's something that we'll use moving forward. And you don't have to, and you won't get it right every time. And I think this one's the key one. This one's a really hard one for marketers because we probably have a couple of things in common. We all probably have a little bit of OCD. We like to be organized, and we also don't like to be wrong. So to have that line as part of our ethos and as part of, I guess, our working environment, our day-to-day working environment, it's confronting and it's a bit challenging. So here's a couple of keys to success, I guess, that we always look to implement and look to have a conversation about when we're planning for campaigns and planning for these test and learn activities that we do day to day. So I think Tim mentioned this before as well. This is literally 101 marketing strategy. So, I'm not here to repeat, but it always starts with a why. So what is the business, or ideally, what is the customer problem? And what are we wanting to prove? So for us, sometimes it's your CEO just says that we need to do something, so we jump and we've got to do it. That's fine. But sometimes there's an actual customer problem of whether they can't navigate to a website or they can't easily purchase our product. It's very true for some of our businesses at the moment. So what are the things that we can do to help make that easier, or to help build that solution out? Now, buy-in. Ideally, you have a leader that will fight for you and that believes in this ethos and believes in trying new things and always looking to improve. As marketers, if we're not looking to do new things, then we're basically going backwards. So you definitely need that. And you need to create a culture that accepts the risks, accepts the results, whatever they might be, and is semi-okay with it, shall we say. And clear goals and deliverables, it's common sense really, but what does success actually look like? It has to be deliverable. We've got Dennis Rodman here looking at or explaining the customer journey, but what does that actually mean for us, and what are the metrics that says that that's working well? So whether it is improvement to a click-through rate or an open rate from our ADM structure, or whether it's changing CTAs and seeing if we're seeing a better conversion rate based on that. So it could be something as small as that, and into your ADM strategy, and literally per email testing different things to see if that works or doesn't work. Or it could be as big as changing your whole marketing plan for the year ahead based on what you've seen in the past and based on differing things outside the market at the moment. Obviously, from a tourism perspective, the changes to travel over the past 3 years has been enormous. Like Tim mentioned before, from a local tourism perspective, we've seen some it's been okay. We've been able to survive compared to a lot of other people in our industry at the moment, but we're facing completely new challenges at the moment regarding everyone going to Europe. I'm sure pretty much everyone's Instagram feed is Europe filled at the moment, which is very sad and depressing for people who are still here. But we also have a lack of people coming into the country as well, or the ratio is just not there at all. So from that, the marketing plan needs to shift, and we need to actually look at that. What does that mean? And also have a clear ROI behind everything that we do. And last but not least, we need to actually learn. How many times do we do something, even if we do something kind of cool, and we all pat ourselves on the back after and we say, that was a great campaign, we saw some great results come through, amazing, let's do it again, let's make sure that we do it again next time. But it kind of gets filed away, it's in SharePoint. It might come out for an annual report at the end of the year, but we get to the same point the next year and like, oh, what worked, what didn't? Oh, I don't really know. That person's not here anymore. No one knows how to read GA4, for instance. We're not sure, so we just kind of go back and start doing it again. So it's really important that we, not only report on what we do, but we also take the time to make sure that we educate our teams and bring everyone on that journey, and also make sure that it's easy to get that information when we're looking to plan ahead moving forward to future campaigns or activities. So in a nutshell, that was kind of the key pillars of what we always try to do and what we always try to ask each other questions for when we start planning. And I thought I'd give a couple of examples of what we've been able to do in the Journey Beyond space. Some are big, some are really small, but yeah, you can learn from our mistakes and learn from some of our successes, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well as to what you've been testing and learning, and hopefully we can all learn from each other. So this one was pretty fucking cool. We got approached by Meta, so our rep in Singapore mentioned to us that, or basically she asked me when she first came on board, what can we do for you? What can we do for Journey Beyond? And I posed the question, I said, I know, Zucks is testing different things all the time and he's trying to either steal social media channels or make them his own, or just he's doing stuff. So what's out there, and can we be a part of it if there's anything new and exciting? They came back to us with the whole metaverse thing, and I was pretty skeptical, to be perfectly honest, when this first came about. I don't know anyone that has an Oculus. Anyone got an Oculus here? One, two. Oh, there's a few. Okay, that's nice. I didn't know anyone over 13 that had one originally beforehand, but it's kind of cool. I'm like a bit jealous, to be perfectly honest. There's some cool stuff about it, but the uptake's not there, and the stats show that, especially in our region, it's just not there at all at the moment. So, oh yeah, feel free to. I can hear the music from the VR experience. Yes, please scan, please flick through, and have a scroll. I won't take any offense to that at all. But yeah, they came to us with this solution for WebXR, which was a dip of the toe, I guess, into the metaverse. So it can still be used on web devices, so on mobile, on desktop, on tablets, as well as Oculus, for those who have one. And we thought, cool, okay, that's a cool solution, but what's our why? Why should we do it in the first place? And what brand does it align to for us as well? So as you saw before, we've got 11 different brands, or 13 different brands. The trains, for example, target demographic is like 60 plus, so that rules them out straight away. A lot of train lovers online though. If you look at YouTube, there's like a train simulator game that's got like 500,000 views every YouTube video. It's ridiculous. But anyway, we thought, no, that's not it for them. But Skydeck was an interesting one. So for those who don't know, Melbourne Skydeck is a viewing platform. It's Australia's version of the Empire State Building. That's probably not a really good example, actually. It's not that good. But it's a viewing platform in Melbourne. It's what you do when, for Melbourne people, if you have family coming over, you go check out Melbourne Skydeck. If you're coming in from interstate, going to the footy, it's literally on South Bank, so you go check it out. But it's way more than a viewing platform. And since we took it on a couple of years ago, we needed to make it a destination and an experience that goes beyond that viewing platform. So over the past couple of years, we created a kind of this VR experience on site that you basically walk on a plank across the Melbourne CBD. I don't know if anyone knows who Hasbulla is, but he actually went to Melbourne Skydeck, and it's gone completely viral on TikTok when he did the plank. I think it had 5 million views in a day. It was pretty crazy. No one in my office knew who Hasbulla was anyway. But so we've got that. We've got these pods that is basically a VR theatre, a 6D experience. It sounds very gimmicky, and it is to a certain extent, but you basically sit in these pods, and there's a video that highlights all the amazing things that Victoria and Melbourne has to offer. There's scents that come out. You get to go, the pod actually moves, so you go on a Luna Park roller coaster. It takes you to the front row of the AFL Grand Final and of the Oz Open. So it's a fully immersive experience, and yeah, there's coffee scents that come out of somewhere. But it's pretty innovative. So we've got the product there, and we thought that this brand and this product really aligned to this experience. And the issue, so that's the brand alignment, but the why or the business problem was that we had no idea how to really showcase this to a market. How do we explain what this kind of VR theatre is? I did a pretty bad job explaining it just then. So imagine trying to do that in a display ad, or even we had TVC, but localized in Melbourne. But even then, in a 15-second spot, you can't really showcase everything that quickly. So from an education piece, we thought, okay, this might be an idea that we can utilize. So for those who have already scanned in, as you can see, you get to go into a VR version of the Skydeck, and we put a view there of what that platform looks like, or what the city looks like from the platform, to give an idea of what you might get if you're over in Melbourne and visiting the site. But we also put in these interactive galleries that described what was on offer at Melbourne Skydeck. Gave us an opportunity to highlight user-generated content as well. So we had a user-generated content gallery that featured on one wall of the VR experience. And we also, the team at Meta also created literally a lifelike version of the Eureka Tower, which was really cool. And we used that as a bit of an Easter egg hunt for people who engaged with that, engaged with the WebXR experience, and we use that as a bit of a data collection tool as well. So all in all, it sounds pretty cool. It's something that no one from a tourism perspective has done, definitely not in Australia, and I'm pretty sure no tourism business has jumped on it, or at the time jumped on it from a global perspective too. So the Meta guys were really keen on to support us with this. They gave us quite a bit of funds to help support the build of the VR experience, and also some advertising credits to help promote it. So we promoted it in a 4-week period on Meta, obviously, or on Facebook, obviously. Driving people to the site, driving people to engage with it, and driving people to data acquisition and the Easter egg hunt as part of it. So this was during a pretty light period of, I think it was November or late November, December last year. So didn't have too much on from a campaign perspective, so it fit in nicely from a timing point of view. And spend was relatively low, but we had it on Facebook 4 weeks, generated roughly about 5,000 unique visitors to the VR experience during that time period. I think just under 1,000 entries to this Easter egg hunt. Engagement was high. Time on site, or time in the VR experience, however you want to call it, was well over 4 minutes, I believe. So highly engaged users, but if you put the same amount of money that we invested in this in media, we would have got more results. We definitely would have had more traffic to site. We definitely would have had more data acquisition if we went down that path as well. So am I glad we did it? definitely. We got some buzz off Mumbrella. It was cool to see how it worked on the back end. We built a great relationship with the Meta team over in Singapore as well, and that's put us in good stead moving forward for the rest of our campaigns, and that relationship only continues to grow as we spend more money, obviously. But yeah, the experience itself of understanding what this actually takes and what it looks like to build something like this, if Oculus and VR continues to grow. Apple's on board now, so I'm assuming it will. But that's a great aspect of it. But from a pure dollars and cents and a media perspective, it probably didn't hit the mark. But we're okay with that. We did it, we tested, we learnt, and we still have this for the rest of the year. So we're thinking of different ways that we can utilize this moving forward as well. We've got it hosted for the next year. So we'll see how that translates to maybe some future campaigns as well. Shifting to a kind of a completely different theme, channels and audiences is something that you can test so easily with. Like I mentioned before, the GAN as a brand, very traditional. From a marketing perspective and an advertising perspective, strategy is a very traditional media landscape, lots of print, a bit of TV, very minimal digital. We're the poor cousin, unfortunately. But there's reasons why. That's the target demo, that's where people are, and that's where people expect to see our brand. And it works. So who am I to say otherwise? But we've had a couple of, I guess, business problems in the fact that we want to make our demographic, or we want to make our customer base younger. We want to skew younger. And by younger, I mean like 50, 55 plus, which is a nice, I guess, problem to have, to be perfectly honest, because a brand who knows who their audience is and is okay with who their audience is kind of rare. I feel like I worked at a financial institution before that was trying to get younger and younger and younger and wanted 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds, but we just didn't have the product to offer to them. We didn't have the tech to back it up. So without that, you're kind of giving a false promise. But for us, we're happy. We know who our audience base is, our customer base. I've been lucky enough to go on the GAN myself. They look after you super well. I was the youngest on there by about 30 years, but great experience, loved it. And for those, who don't know, GAN, a luxury train experience going Adelaide to Darwin and back. You get to see some beautiful off-train experiences as well, cultural experiences across the outback of the NT. So it's such a unique way to see our country. But our problem was we want to skew younger, and our data was showing that females are the key decision maker of households when it comes to travel. So using data to back up kind of our decision making, and by that I mean, in couple situations, in family situations, in friend situations, and we're seeing more and more cross-generational travel as well. So a few factors at play that we haven't really delved into, and again, like I said before, we're so heavy mass media, so heavy print, haven't really delved into the content advertising space before. So we had this problem. We spoke to the amazing team at Wavemaker, our agency, about this, and we came up with an idea to partner with the amazing team at Mamma Mia. For those who don't know, independent media company, heavily skewed to the female lens, considered the most trusted media platform for women in Australia, and a massive following across podcast, digital content, and social. So we got their two editors, the twins, Claire and Jessie Stevens, on the GAN, and they took their mum on the GAN. And we had a fully integrated content campaign that featured long-form written content on site that was amplified, social influencer work that was amplified, so guaranteed results, not just like some fluff influencer work that we're just giving free shit just to get a couple of posts, and podcast reads, display advertising. We thought of a fully packaged campaign to really sell that message. and to build that brand awareness to a completely different audience in a completely different medium. And it went nuts. From a social perspective, one post alone almost got 200,000 in reach. The engagement rates were super high. So from a paid engagement rate perspective, I think their averages were around that 5% mark, and we saw a 12.3% engagement rate from this content as well. It really helped that the talent was so authentic and also so loved by the readers or the consumers of the media in the first place as well. So the talent part definitely helped. And even the long-form content, the dwell time on that article alone, I think it peaked at about 8 minutes. It averaged or plateaued out to about 5 minutes. And for Mamamia, they told us that their average dwell time on articles is around that 2 to 2.5 minute mark. So shows you, again, talking to a highly engaged audience or understanding where that audience needs to be. And putting ourselves out there in a completely different medium and seeing what happens. So we saw some, amazing results from that perspective, and we've continued to take those learnings to our other brands as well. So moving forward, we've got some integrated content with South Salis, so up in Ningaloo Reef, we've had, again, one of the twins go up there to basically have her honeymoon and talk about switching off, and she did some content pieces for us as that, and we've got some stuff with their influencer arm squad as well, with Melbourne Skydirk and Cruise with Sundays as well. So we've been taking those learnings on board, and then we've been able to use that across our group. Now, how are we going for time? We're going okay? Beautiful. Last but not least, this is super simple. Everyone should be doing this day to day. I don't really need to explain this too much, but Facebook ads are literally the easiest thing to test and learn on. And we do it religiously. When I first started, we actually didn't have an agency. We managed all Facebook ads in-house. And if you can think about that, from 13 brands, managing all your different ad creatives across different channels, it was literally just getting shit up and hoping it goes live and then hoping for the best and then moving on to the next one. That's all we kind of did. So when we got a bit of support, we had a bit better structure of our strategy and what we wanted to do. We kind of got our base levels of what we needed to get up from a branding and a positional messaging perspective, and then we continued to test and learn against different creative, different ad sets, different content, and different audiences. So I mentioned we've got, we're fully integrated into the Blue Kool-Aid of Salesforce and the MarTech stack that we have with them. So we're building audiences all the time to retarget and to continuously cross-sell with that company. But we've also got things like creative. Just a simple thing like stay 4, pay 3 versus get 1 free. Show of hands, who thinks the stay 4, pay 3 worked better? Who thinks the stay 1 night free worked better? So did I. I was like, we don't even need to test this. That's such a simple message. 20% better click-through rate on stay 4, pay 3. I don't know why. But it just shows you that we don't know shit as well. So that's why we test, that's why we learn. Marketers, hate to say this, but we don't know anything. So, but our customer does. So, and that's why we do this. Again, I'm such a big proponent for people-based imagery and using that in our messaging or in our content. I don't think we did that enough. We always have a beautiful showcase of a train and a landscape. It's great, but does it really tell you what that experience looks like, or does that put you in the shoes of the consumer, or does that put you in that experience? I don't think so. So we tested some creative in stories around that, and again, I was proven wrong. Territory by Train, that first ad set, outperformed us, the people-based imagery by a lot. Hate to say it. And then different ad sets as well. Because we have so many different brands, it gives us an opportunity to see whether statics and carousels work compared to video. Everyone says video works best. And it does for the most part, but for some of our brands it doesn't. And I don't know why. I can't explain it, but the stats show us that they just don't. So we just got to take that on board. And the same goes from I always went rule of thumb, static link ads, always about conversion, hard sell, carousels, nice soft messaging, beautiful imagery, tell a story. And the marketer in us always wants to tell a story. Some people don't even care. They just want to go straight to that conversion rate. But some people aren't even scrolling over that carousel in the first place as well. So these, they sound like small things, but once we remove ourselves from kind of what we think and what we assume, they can make some really big differences, and then they help us, make our decisions in the future. That's all I've got from the slides, but again, as we already know, we always go back to the why. So that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Wade. I think, testing and learning is something I think as marketers we should be doing more of, but sometimes we do get lazy. I know that when our clients come to us and we're working with them and we do lots of variations, particularly for social ads, Google ads, and now of course you've got responsive search ads in Google and all that kind of thing as well. That's pretty much all we do is continue to test. Oh, this performs better, cool, let's make more ads that look like that. Okay, now that doesn't work, let's try something else. And I think it's a really important thing to keep iterating and testing and learning. So really strong message, so thank you, Wade. Got some questions here. First one actually comes from me. How do you convince management to invest in a test and learn budget? Like, you're presenting your marketing budget for the year and you've got, I'm going to say in your case it might be 1%, 5%, 10%. How do you actually then say to them, yeah, we want to spend this much on test and learn and get that across the line?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, and it depends on understanding who pulls the purse strings in the first place as well, and understanding what their motives are. For us, I'm really lucky that our AGM, she's kind of a true brand marketer, and comes from probably a bit more of a traditional background, but really understands the power of digital and what we can do in this space as well, but also understands the fact that if we aren't trying new things, and if we're just doing the same as what we've always been doing, we're actually going to go backwards. It's really as simple as that. So from that perspective, I guess it's an education piece around why we should do this, but then going back to research and just backing it up. It's not just because we want to try new shit or it's shiny and it's cool and I want to buy the latest tech stack or whatever it might be, but it goes back to the background, goes back to taking people or taking our C-suite or whoever it might be on that journey to understand the why behind it.
Vanessa wants to know, what test and learn approaches can you recommend that don't require huge spend budget allocation? So I think the Facebook ads was a good one because you're probably doing them anyway, but yep. Do you have any other tips for the low-cost side of things? Yeah, another one is like your own channels. So whether it's on your website and simple things like just changing CTAs, or changing placements of where those CTAs may be. It's super simple, but again, we kind of get stuck and get lazy and just do what we've always done before. And another one that we do a lot in is EDM and our direct comm space. So something as simple, obviously, again, we're lucky that we have a really great tech stack that we can rely on to help support this, but send times. Who would have thought that send times make a big difference? But for us, we've seen that if we utilize the AI that we've got built into our Salesforce stack to send to specific people, to a certain individual at a certain given point in time that they open their emails, we see a click-through rate, not an open rate, a click-through rate of 13% on those emails compared to a blast email that we send out when we want to send it out. Are you a 7 Cents ambassador too? No. Ryan mentioned it earlier today. But there you go. Going on about We're all on the same page then. Yep. That's good. Michael wants to know, how much of your yearly budget do you allocate to test and learn strategies? Percentage is fine. I always aim for at least 10% of our digital budget. 10% of our digital budget, for the most part, is much smaller than our mass budget. But rule of thumb around that 10% mark, give or take. But sometimes when we get a really great opportunity, when a media partner comes into the office with an amazing idea that we haven't really thought about, then maybe we can stretch the funds there too. Gina wants to know if you've implemented any test and learn strategies for organic social media content.
Yeah, we're doing that every day. Like I said before, around showcasing people a bit more. For us as well, we've noticed and we've seen this like kind of TikTok trend translate to what we do in our space as well, around wanting to see behind the scenes and wanting to see things that are a bit more authentic. Again, with tourism, it's so easy to get caught up in the most beautiful imagery, you know, that dreaming phase of the purchase funnel and trying to make everything look perfect. But I think, you know, especially in the social space, people are looking for, what do I actually get? What does that mean for me to be on that experience? What do I see? What do I feel? And also, who's taking me on that experience as well? So highlighting our staff is something that we're trying to focus on a bit more. And yeah, that working with influencers as well to see like that point of view work is something we're doing more of too.
How do you measure success when A/B testing? So, for example, how long would it take you to draw a conclusion? How much data do you take on before you go, yep, this is the winning ad, or yes, this is the winning subject line, or
yeah,
so on and so on?
Obviously it helps when you've got more budget just to pump it up and see if you've got big volumes. Ideally, you want to see it for us, we review on a monthly basis. So after a good 4-week period, we should see enough volume come through to say, is this kind of working? Is this not? Maybe we need to tweak it here or there. So yeah, typically we look at it on a monthly basis. Anything less than that's probably not ideal.
Makisha wants to know, how much were you involved with the content creation with Mamma Mia? How did you hit the mark to have such engaged users? So yeah, how hands-on were you, or did you just go, hey, have a famil, see ya?
Yeah, to be honest, because it was a paid campaign as well, we're hugely involved. We have a really clear structure of what we want to showcase and what we want them to talk about and experience. So we've got some very clear guidelines around that too. So hate to say that it's curated, but it is, and it's paid advertising. And something that that I have to kind of talk about with the team when I get a bit of pushback around why should we do this is the fact that we need to treat it as paid media at the end of the day. Some people always just think of it as like fluff PR. Not that PR is fluff, don't quote me on that. But from this side of things, it's purely paid, and we're seeing clear objectives and clear results from it. So we were, highly involved in it. But at the same time, you really need to let that content creator also have their voice, and that's why their readership base or their follower base is following them in the first place. So it looks really jarring if you just go with a full brand message.
Ellen wants to know how differently you treat organic social content to paid social content.
Interesting one. When I first started, all of our paid just went straight to hard sell. Buy now, book now, spend your money, give us your cash. Moving forward to over the past couple of years, we've kind of had a bit of a twofold approach. So we still need that call to action, of course we do. But we've also looked at kind of more the customer journey aspect of it and trying to phase in really soft sell messaging as part of our paid ads. So content ads are a really big part. We just launched our digital magazine last night for the group for this edition. So content plays a massive part. We're wanting to try and showcase our experiences and our brands in that way with the softer sell, and then looking at retargeting from that based on those engagements. I think we've seen the best success from that. So then the pointy hard messaging can come after that.
Just the last couple of questions before we break for the day. How does diversity inclusivity play into your strategy digitally with such a skew to an older audience, particularly with the rail products?
Yeah. Not enough, to be perfectly honest. It's something that we're definitely looking at and thinking about, and it's there's so many factors involved there. So it's not only thinking about that from the content side of things and who you're showcasing and who you're putting on your ads and who that content is kind of directed for and working towards that. Because we have such a big group-wide, we have such a broad audience base as well. We really need to tailor our messaging to the individual, but everyone at the same time. So it's really complicated and something that we're always striving for.
Jasmine wants to know, you mentioned some types of content do better for different brands, and sometimes you don't know why. But how do you then explain it to the team if someone then asks you why?
The
You
numbers.
just go, I don't know.
The numbers don't lie, stats don't lie at the end of the day. So that's why we do this, that's why we put it out there in the first place, to see what works and what doesn't, and then we can go back to the different brands. I think, we heard before, we've got different brand managers at all of those different locations as well. So it's about educating them and taking them on that journey as to why something might work for this brand, but video or written content might work for another more.
And that's it. Thank you so much, Wade. Round of applause for Wade.
Thanks.